Cozy Heart, a My Little Pony fanfic by StarThief. Chapter 5, Better Behavior. Cozy followed behind Flurry, who walked along humming a soft, cheerful tune. Cozy just sighed as they neared the library doors. She glanced back at the guards trailing them. She'd thought she could get used to the constant supervision, or at least ignore it, but it was already wearing thin. It was uncomfortable having them so close all the time. It didn't seem to bother Flurry, but then, Flurry was a princess and niece to Equestria's ruler. The guards treated her with respect and fairness. Cozy, on the other hoof, drew hatred and disdain, like that morning when they knocked her down, or when others said right to her face they wished she were stone again. Even Twilight often treated Cozy with open contempt. That made it hard to ignore the terms of her new freedom. "And here we are," Flurry said, turning to Cozy with her usual smile. In the whole castle, she was the only one who smiled at Cozy. The relentless optimism could be annoying, but that smile was oddly comforting. "What are we doing here?" Cozy asked. "Well, no pony gave you a welcome or anything like that." "Why would they? In case you haven't noticed, this entire castle hates me," Cozy cut in. Flurry dipped her head, then looked back up at her. "Yeah. But I don't hate you. My aunt used to tell me how Pinkie Pie would throw surprise welcome parties for new ponies in Ponyville. I thought we could do something like that. Also, it was the only one of my ideas Aunt Twilight said yes to. A party in a library doesn't sound like the best venue," Cozy deadpanned. "Well, it's not a party, just a little welcome gift. Since it'll just be you and me. And the guards." At that, one of the guards shot Cozy a stern look. She stuck her tongue out at him. "All right. But they'll stay at the doors. You and I will be alone inside. Come on." "Well, that's slightly reassuring," Cozy said with a hint of sarcasm. "If we hear anything suspicious, we're coming in immediately. Clear?" One guard added. Cozy ignored him and went in with Flurry. Inside, she took in the rows upon rows of shelves, some stretching higher than one floor. Stairways led to railings above so ponies could browse the upper stacks. She drifted after Flurry, letting her eyes explore. There was that humming again. Cozy sighed and quickened her pace to walk alongside her. "Doesn't look like a party. Not that I went to many," Cozy said. "Oh, well, you can't really have a party with just two ponies, right?" Flurry smiled. "I just wanted to give you a gift." They walked until Flurry stopped at a table in the center of the library. It was funny to Cozy how the castle library was laid out like a public one, many aisles and reading tables, yet it seemed only Flurry and Twilight ever read there. The thought amused her for a moment, until she noticed the table. A single book with a ribbon on it. The ribbon felt a little over the top, but she got the intention. She looked at Flurry, who was smiling, eyes twinkling. After a few seconds, Flurry set a hoof on the table and looked at the book. "I didn't really know what you like, and I didn't have much time to plan this. But I still wanted to do something small, a welcome. So, this is the first Daring Do book. Rainbow Dash. My aunt and I are huge fans. If you like it, I can show you the rest of the series. It's finished, so you won't have to wait for new ones." He, Flurry said, beaming. Cozy stepped up and picked up the book. Before she'd been turned to stone, she'd heard about the Daring Do novels, but they'd never appealed to her. Reading in general was something she'd done at the School of Friendship to keep up the model student act. "Wow. A book," she said, with the world's worst attempt at enthusiasm. "All right. I hope you like it." Cozy was about to put the book back to make her lack of excitement crystal clear, but then she saw Flurry's disappointment in her eyes. She let out a heavy sigh and nodded. "I used to read before bed, mostly things that helped my evil plans. But it became a habit. I'll give the first few pages a read tonight, okay?" Cozy said. forcing a smile. Flurry brightened and nodded. Then she hurried down an aisle and returned levitating a thicker, plainer volume, just text on the cover. Here's the age spell. I don't have permission to use it on you yet. And I don't know the spell. But I have a plan. If my aunt sees you improving, maybe we can convince her to use it so you can look your real age, Flurry said, cheeks tinting with nerves. Cozy eyed the spellbook and then Flurry. It was a dumb plan, or so she thought at first. But the reason she was free at all was because Flurry believed she could be better. With that in mind, the plan made a sliver of sense. And how are we doing that? Every pony hates me. Making friends is impossible at this point. Well, you already have one friend. So maybe we start with a few friendship lessons together before we try for more friends, Flurry said gently, setting a hoof to Cozy's chest in a small gesture of support. Cozy wasn't exactly feeling up for any plan, but in Flurry's words she could see the faintest ray of hope. She didn't want to be good, and she still felt plenty of hatred toward everyone. But her current situation left her completely at others' mercy. Her only option was to go along, for now. Maybe, in time, she could earn real freedom and then make a smart move against them. She pictured it quickly. It would be hard, require careful planning, but she was willing to endure some trials to get there. All right, friend, Cozy said, with a brighter smile, the same crafty, two-faced smile she'd worn in the past. Flurry, blinded by hope, took it as genuine. What's the plan? Flurry lit up, set the spellbook back where it was, and faced Cozy. Let's start with better behavior. When we leave here, you'll try to walk off without me, and the guards will obviously stop you. Instead of snarking back or saying nothing, you'll apologize and say something nice. Okay? It's a good plan. For starters. But before that, we can talk a bit if you want. I feel like we haven't had a real conversation since you got here. If I'm really going to help you, I need to know you. I want to know you, Flurry said with a sweet smile. Cozy didn't refuse. A conversation didn't sound that bad even with Flurry's grating optimism. She flew over, dragged a chair, and sat. Flurry pulled out the other chair with her magic and sat across from her. Got a topic in mind? Cozy asked. Where are you from? Oh, so we're doing one question each. Fine. I'm from Cloudsdale. I don't remember the exact part, but it wasn't that bad. My turn. Why are you always so optimistic? Cozy leaned in a little. Well, I don't think of myself as that optimistic. But I guess I don't have much to complain about. Maybe that's it. And it probably has a lot to do with who I grew up around. Flurry said. Wow. That's how psychopaths talk, and I would know, Cozy said. Do you have any family? I only know the headlines about you. Maybe we could try to find them? Oh. No. You won't find anything if you look. I don't even know anything about them. They're probably dead. Or not. Doesn't matter. I never knew my parents, Cozy replied flatly. It might wreck another pony, but she genuinely didn't seem to care who her parents or any relatives were. Oh. I'm sorry, Flurry said. It doesn't matter. The little time I spent in Cloudsdale was in an orphanage. After that, the school of friendship. If whoever had me left me there, I clearly wasn't important to them. So I don't see why they should matter to me. Maybe they left you there because they couldn't take care of you and wanted you to be okay so a better family could take you in. Great choice of a place then. Whatever. That chunk of cloud is probably fogged now, or however that works. I don't care, Cozy said, looking down for a moment, then quickly regaining her composure. Okay, my turn. How do princesses do that thing with their manis? You don't have it yet, but Celestia and Luna did, and now Twilight too. It's not as big as Celestia's, more lunicized, but still, the whole main thing is weird. Cozy was cut off by a sudden hug. She gave a tiny start and froze, not sure what to do, staring at Flurry as the Alicorn held her, not too tight, just enough. Unsure, Cozy set her forehooves lightly against Flurry's back. She didn't hug back, just rested them there. What's this for? Flurry eased back, cheeks a little pink. I thought you needed a hug. Every pony does sometimes. Why you? I'm guessing it's been a while since anyone hugged you. Right? Cozy didn't answer, just nodded. It was true. It had been a long time, not only because she'd been stoned, but even before that. Tyrek and Chrysalis weren't exactly believers in friendship and unity. They worked together for a common goal. Even so, in the short, mostly hostile time she'd spent with them, she'd felt a weird hint of kinship. But gestures of affection? Not for Cozy. So having one out of nowhere left her completely defenseless, caught off guard. Well. I just remembered I haven't taken a bath in 17 years. I must smell like damp rock. She said, embarrassed. She broke the hug, zipped toward the library door, and reached for the handle, but the distance from the central table to the door was considerable. The instant her hoof touched the knob, the spell yanked her back and teleported her beside Flurry. It's going to take time to get used to that tether. Let me walk you to the baths and I'll wait outside. And it's a good time to try being nice to the guards when we head out, okay? Cozy nodded, picked up the book Flurry had given her, and went with her to the library doors. When Flurry opened them, the guards waiting outside bowed slightly to Flurry and ignored Cozy. Flurry looked at her and nodded, smiling. Cozy sighed and walked on, ignoring the guards until they dropped their spears in front of her. Halt! Stay close to the princess. Both barked. Cozy flinched at the tone, but remembered the plan. Annoyed and embarrassed, she forced a smile, put both hooves to her head, and put on a repentant face. Sorry. I'm just not used to it yet. I really am sorry, she said, stepping back to Flurry's side while cursing the stupid plan in her head. Then she noticed the guard's reaction. Fine. Just remember to stay with her at all times. We don't want a repeat of that, one said. The reply was still strict and serious as usual, but it wasn't the same old contempt. That surprised Cozy. She turned to Flurry almost excitedly. Well then. Could you escort us to the baths? She wants to take a proper shower, Flurry asked sweetly. The guard smiled, nodded, and started walking. A younger Cozy stood at an orphanage window, watching the other Pegasi playing in the courtyard. A small smile tugged at her mouth, widening when a tiny snowflake floated to the glass. She lifted her wings and fluttered them in excitement. Winter! The rainbow factory's already making the winter clouds. Heart's warming eve is coming. The little Pegasus squealed, darting out of the dorm, dipping in altitude now and then, still learning to fly, and into the yard. They're making winter clouds. Let's go see. Her excitement was contagious. The other Pegasi nodded and hurried with her to the cloud's edge where the orphanage sat. From there, they could see it in the distance, far, but visible, the rainbow factory. Just like Cozy said, Pegasi were already guiding clouds out from it. Cozy stared, eyes bright. She'd heard at school how other Pegasi celebrated that season with their families. When winter began, she'd get happy. She dreamed of being adopted someday and celebrating with a family. The illusion shattered when an older Pegasus shoved her aside to get a better view, very much on purpose. Move. Hey. We all want to see, Cozy said, wobbling in the air, nearly falling off the cloud. Yeah. Beat it, pipsqueak, the Pegasus muttered, eyes fixed on the factory. Cozy finished her bath and hovered in front of a mirror, towel drying her mane. The hot water had relaxed her and even brought back a few memories from before Ponyville, nothing she cared to dwell on. She looked at herself again and sighed. Friendship lessons. Sure, she muttered under her breath. Princess. We don't mean to question your decisions, but do you really think having that thing loose is necessary? One guard asked Flurry as they waited for Cozy. Please don't call her that, Flurry replied softly. She's a Pegasus, a pony like us. I'm sure there's something good in her. There's kindness there. She just needs help finding it. The guards exchanged doubtful looks but didn't press further. They waited with Flurry outside the baths until, after a few minutes, Cozy emerged, looking at the three of them with a touch of seriousness. See, can we go now? She asked. We can keep talking if you'd like. Princess, your aunt wishes to see you in the throne room, another guard said, approaching. Oh. All right, let's go. I'll escort you from here, gentle colts. Take a break, the newcomers said to the other two. They nodded and left. Cozy and Flurry followed the guard to the throne room. When they reached the doors and started in, the guard's voice stopped them. She wants to see you only, princess. Cozy must wait out here. Oh, okay. I don't think the tether will trigger if you wait right outside. We won't be that far apart, Flurry said to Cozy. Cozy just nodded and sat beside a planter. Say hi to the other princess for me. Flurry smiled and went in. Twilight sat on her throne, with Spike at her side. He grinned at the young Alicorn as she entered. Flurry smiled back to him and then to her aunt in greeting. She sat facing them. What is it? Well, after thinking it over, and thanks to Spike, who seems to be very much on your side lately, I've decided to grant you your little wish about using an age spell on Cozy. Really? That's a way so. But I need to see improvement from her first. Otherwise, forget it. I want to see her take being better seriously. Don't tell her any of this, but get her to do good things. I want her to perform an action tied to one of the elements of harmony, kindness, generosity, loyalty, honesty, or laughter, Twilight said, voice firm. Flurry swallowed. She'd barely gotten Cozy to fake an apology to the guards. Getting her to do that was going to be much harder. One such action is enough, but it has to be genuine. Only then will I use the age spell on her so she's your age. Sound fair? Why yeah. That sounds good. Well, she did apologize to the guards earlier. I think I can get her to do something like that. It won't be easy, though, Flurry admitted. You got her living here in the castle, Twilight said, stepping down to gently smooth Flurry's mane. You're a very good princess. I know you'll do it. In a few days we're going to Ponyville. I've got a talk to give to the students, and I want to see the girls. Try to make it happen before then, okay? The others will be more supportive if they can see Cozy's progress. Flurry nodded and smiled. I'll try. Thank you for everything, Auntie. I don't think I've apologized for ruining our vacation. I know you had plans for us and, well, I probably tossed them all in the trash. Twilight shook her head. Of course not. I shelved a few plans, but not all. Having you here is a wonderful gift. I just don't know how we're going to tell your parents yet. Let's aim for Cozy to be a little better by then, okay? Flurry nodded, then headed for the door, pausing to look back at Twilight. I'll do my best. I promise. She stepped out and found Cozy. Well, what did she say? Cozy asked. Nothing big. We just need to start working on your behavior right now. Trust me, it'll be good, Flurry said with a smile, stepping closer. Apologizing to the guards was the first step. Now let's take a bunch more. Ready? Cozy gave her a puzzled look, then quickly remembered her own plans and ideals, and nodded. Great. Come on, I've got an idea, Flurry said, buzzing with excitement.